See. All right. It seems like we're live. Let me make sure we're good over here. It should be popping up anytime now. Let me see. Here. Okay, I see it on my phone.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this. Whoops. Share this to my feed. And we are live. I'm put stay dead, my friends. All right. Get that situated. Okay, I posted it. Welcome,
Okay.
everybody, to the first ever premiere of the Deadhead podcast. I almost said Stay Dead podcast. It's Deadhead podcast. And here, my guest today, my first guest ever is my beautiful wife, Kelsey. And she agreed last minute to join the podcast. Actually, I pushed her to do it because I needed a guest and I couldn't get someone last minute. But she said she wanted to be on it anyway. So we are living the dream. So we are here for the first ever podcast, and I'm pretty excited about it. Something I've always wanted to do, but I guess I really never had the metaphorical balls to try it. Um, so I appreciate the guys that come into the chat, and I appreciate the ones who are watching this later. And I'm sure my wife appreciates that as well because I think she would um, continue to maybe come back every so often to the do the live chat with us and do the podcast. And so anyway, so glad to have her, and I'm glad to be here. We've both been working all day, so we wanted to do this. I didn't want to cancel. I had a guest, and Lord with him. He had some stuff going on, so he couldn't be here. But I figured I wanted to continue it anyway. So we're here. So anyway, with that being said, welcome again to the Deadhead Podcast. My wife Kelsey, and I think I first want to start off by saying the introductory of this podcast. I don't have anything written down, but pretty much what I wanted to say is that I've always wanted to have a podcast. I've always wanted to try it out. I love talking about things. I love talking about real world things. Not politics anymore, but I like talking about real world things, movies, TV, books, games, any of that genre, and just life in general. I like talking about life, and that's one of the reasons why I'm glad to have Kelsey here with us today, because we're not going to get into super deep things, super deep moving things, but to really learn more about the people that are on this chat. And I'm sorry if I'm not looking directly at you. I'm more looking at my wife, and I'm kind of glancing back at the camera. So my eyes are kind of cutting both ways. I'll eventually learn how to do this without having too many issues. So anyway, so I want to do this chat with an open area that we can talk about anything under the sun, really, when it comes to anything pop culture, movies, TV shows, games, and things of that nature. And like what I was telling my wife earlier is that the fact of a podcast isn't, yes, you have gaming podcasts, you have movie podcasts and TVs and shit and things like that, but you can have a podcast where you talk about a little bit of everything. A good example would be like the Joe Rogan experience. Joe Rogan is a proclaimed comedian, and he has a podcast. And in his podcast, he literally just talks to some good friends, some good people, respectful people, and then they smoke weed the entire time. Now, we don't need to smoke. We're not smokers, but it's the same feel. I like to have a more relaxed experience when we do this. And I think as we move further and we try to keep doing this, that we'll try to make it a bit more convenient for not only myself, but the people that come on the chat. So anyway, so with that being said, that's how I feel about the podcast. And my wife has heard about it several times since I said I wanted to do it. So yeah, I'm sure she's kind of getting tired of how excited I have been about this whole thing. But I'm hoping that if we get a good turnout today, and not even really as far as the live stream goes, but the views later, because what I'll do is I'll probably save this video on Facebook and I'll also put it on YouTube as well. And that way people can go back and watch it when we're not live, and pretty much prepare yourself for the next one, because I do have a few guests lined up, and we're going to be talking about some pretty cool stuff. So anyway, so with that being said, I will turn to my wife now and first just ask you how's your day going. I know we
Pretty
talked
good.
earlier, but yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I know we talked earlier, but again, with podcasts, we're just conversating back and forth. So, um, you know, if I guess we start off with how was work today? How was everything going today?
It was it was pretty good. Just so y'all know, I'm a CNA, so it was pretty good and
Hmm.
everything. We worked a lot better today than other days because one girl has just decided to stay out. So, but all three of us were there today, so a
Right.
lot better.
So you had some good help.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, I know in your profession, a lot of help is needed, especially when you're taking care of other people and things like that. I know I've made some jokes in the past about older people and them being kind of mean and things of that nature, but I don't ever truly mean it. I know it's a
Some of
lot.
them can be the sweetest.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean they're yeah. I know a lot. Some of them can be sweet, but I know a lot of them are mean. So I think that's why I have my opinions about them sometimes. But well, I guess we can start off by saying, really, I guess if we want to start the conversation and really get into the meat and potatoes of what this podcast is about, I guess I could really ask you what really got you into wanting to be into healthcare and to be in a CNA. What really got you into that?
Well, it all started back in high school because I took my CNA courses through
Hmm.
high school and everything. I like helping other people
Hmm.
and everything. Like I like helping them just with different things,
Hmm.
with daily living things and maybe playing games or just stuff like that.
Right. Okay. I got you. So you wanted to be in the profession too because you like helping people.
Hmm.
Does it bring you so when you help people, it gives you fulfillment. It makes you feel satisfied with the day's work,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean that's why we do our jobs, right? Like, well, I can say with my job, like for all of you don't know, I'm a water treatment operator and my essential job is just to make adequate drinking water for the public. And I won't say that I feel the satisfaction probably you feel from day to day, but I can understand like the do you want to have some kind of passion and feeling for your job, or else like why are you doing it besides just collecting a check? Um, so so uh so you did a CNA class in school, and so what was your first CNA position? What was your first job as far as being a
At
CNA?
at the summit was my
Okay,
first CNA position.
and where's that at Lynchburg?
Yeah, over in Waterloo.
Okay. Right. And so you as your job over there, what did you so you took care of the people. What else did you do? Is that the main job or
Yeah, the main job is taking care of the people, bathing people, dressing people.
yeah.
We feed people
Hmm.
and just everyday life and everything. So,
Right. So you help feed them, bathe them, take them outside, things of that nature.
yeah.
Right. And so with that, I mean it can be a pretty hard job, right? I mean, what are some things that you struggle with when taking care of these people at these different not just at the summit, but at the other places you worked at. I don't know if you want to talk about it here because I know where you've worked at, but like
Mhm.
how what are the difficulties of the job? Like so in an everyday work schedule, what's something that you struggle with? I can think of one that you told me over and over again, but I want to kind of get deeper into your mind of what are some things that really are really difficult for you at your job. And I'm not talking about physical limitations. I'm just saying in general.
Um, like lifting people
Mm-hmm.
has okay. Well, at the summit we used lifts and
Mm-hmm.
everything, but at Runkin Prep, where I previously worked,
Okay.
we didn't have lifts.
Mm-hmm.
We had to lift them by ourselves or with someone else if they were too heavy.
Right.
So it it's definitely been hard on me and
Right.
everything having to lift them.
Mm-hmm.
But at Valley View where I work now, we don't have to lift because it is an assisted living building. They are assisted living. They all walk and everything. So
Right. Okay.
yeah,
So at Valley View thing, it makes your job a lot easier.
yeah.
S- Okay, so on saying that, what is pretty difficult at the job you have now? What's something that you have a hard time with now, or is there anything at all, or is everything fairly simple for you?
Um, some things are kind of difficult because you don't know like how to talk to somebody and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Um, just different things like that. Like we had a lady in our facility who was needed to go into a memory care facility
Mm-hmm.
and she would literally talk to her TV.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like me and Deja went into her room to put up some clothes and everything,
Right.
and we heard her talking from her living room. And she said, "Don't pour that on the floor."
Mm-hmm.
And it was a commercial on the TV
Oh, okay.
talking about a mop or something on the
Right.
floor.
Well, maybe she was just very passionate about the mop. You know, maybe she wanted
I
the
don't know.
mop for herself.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I think I give the woman the benefit of the doubt because as you know, I scream at the TV quite a bit. So I'm sure I'll be a lot like that old lady when I get older. Oh, well, good deal. Yeah, I mean, I guess like I will say, and I think you've heard me say it a bunch of times, and for anybody that watches this later on or now that's in healthcare and things of that nature, I know it doesn't mean much coming from little old me, but I will say that I'm very grateful and I try to be very gratuitous and very appreciative of you guys in the career field that you do because I know personally I couldn't do it. I know it takes so much patience. I know it takes a lot of stamina in more ways than once that I can personally provide to these people. It's some, I think one thing you guys realize is it's hard enough to take care of yourself, but you guys literally have a job where you're taking care of other people and you're taking care of elderly people and people's grandparents. And that's something that's commendable. And really, I think that, you guys don't really get the compensation you deserve. And again, I voice my opinion on that. I think that you guys should be getting paid um, substantially more than what you make, especially for the jobs you do. But I want you to know there's people like me that are very appreciative of what you do, and and I hope that you know everybody, including my wife, will reap the rewards of things they do. And I know, see, like she lives with me, so she knows that I can be kind of um, a douche about older people
Yes.
because I've come across some really mean ass old people. So I guess I'm like I kind of have an ill will towards older people. It's not that I don't like them. I just I don't really like them. Yeah, that's probably that's probably what it sums it down to. I don't think all of them are bad. I think there's a lot of them that are really sweet and they're full of wisdom and I've always been taught to respect your elders. Now, I also believe that you should respect people that are willing to give respect back. But I do feel that when you're elderly, you should get some respect, right? Because you've been through it. You've lived what I've already lived. And so I should respect you, and I should try to give you the benefit of the doubt, even if I don't like you. So that's something I got to do better with. But I know that personally, I wouldn't be good at taking care of older people anyway. I think I've told you this story, but I used to work at Walmart. I'm sure some of you, if you guys are around the Madison Heights, Lynchburg area, you probably remember I used to work at Walmart, and I used to cart push. And there was this elderly gentleman who came out the store and one day, and my bosses had told me that if you see an elderly person, um, if they need help, help them, especially if they request for some help. So there was this guy who would come in, and he was so mean, like all the time. Like he was just the biggest dick in the world about everything. And he was like riding around in one of the riding carts, and he drove over to his car, and he was like, "Hey, young man, come over here." And he was talking to me. So I come over to him, and he's like, "Put my stuff in the floorboard in the back seat." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure. I'll do that for you." So I go to do that, and I put all of his stuff away. And then he's like, "Okay, now I need you to pick me up and put me in my driver's seat." And I'm like, "What?" And I looked dumbfounded because I couldn't
Yeah.
really like put together what he was saying. Like I knew what he was saying. I just couldn't believe what he was asking me to do. So I was like, "I'm sorry, excuse me, can you ask me again?" And he's like, "Can you pick me up and put me in the driver's seat?" I'm like, "I heard you, but I'm like, I don't really feel comfortable doing that because that's really not in the job description. You're not supposed to touch this. Like I'm not a CNA. I don't work at Valley View or whatever. I'm not supposed to touch this guy. You know what I mean? My job is to take your cart and put it back in the building. That was my my job at the time." And so I was like, but I was like, okay, he needs some help. The dude could barely walk. I don't know what he was doing there by himself. So I go to pick him up. And when I did, I picked him up too hard, I guess. And when I picked him up, I slammed him on the roof of his car. And I mean, it didn't weigh, but maybe like 60 pounds soaking wet. And I was so terrified because I thought I was about to get sued. And he was just cussing me out. "You mother this, you piece of shit this, blah, 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 blah." And anyway, I was like, whatever. So I helped him to his car, and he got in, and he said a few choice words, and he left. And I've actually seen him a couple times. I saw him a couple times after that. And the dude was just like, he was looking around the parking lot looking for me to come help his ass after he was like being a dick to me. And I've already like I didn't mean to slam him on the roof of the car. That was a complete accident. It's just you come to Walmart to shop and you need help with your groceries. Yeah, sure, fine. I hope you all to live long. But then you want me to pick you up and put you in your car. And it's like, I'm not a healthcare worker. What did you come to Walmart? What kind of service do you think this is? Like, do I get a tip for this? No, I didn't. It's just like the time with the guy who needed his ass wiped. He was sitting in the parking lot. I know I told you this story. The dude was like wanting me to wipe his ass in the parking lot, not in the parking lot, but he was like, I was working, and the dude was like calling me over. I'm like, all right, yeah, what you need? And he's like, "Hey, young man, I got $50 right now if you would just help me wipe myself." And he had crap running down his pants leg, babe, poop everywhere, all over the cement. I mean, it was so nasty. He had a trail coming from the entrance, from the exit of the store, all the way to where he was sitting at, where the liquor store is at, where ABC is at. That's where he was sitting, and he was seeing his poop trail all the way down to him. And I'm sitting here like, this is so nasty. And he said, "I'll give you," what he said to this day, it makes me laugh. He said, "I'll give you $50 to help me clean up right now." And I looked at him like dumbfounded. I was like, "No, I'm not touching that." And then he goes, "Well,
You don't have the necessities to do that."
Right. I don't. But he's like, "Don't answer right now." This is the thing that made me laugh though. "Don't answer right now. Think about it, and then get back to me." And I'm like, "Sure thing." And so so I left, and I'm sitting there like, I am not wiping this dude's ass. I don't care. It doesn't matter what it doesn't. He could offer me $100,000. I'm not taking it. I mean, if you offer me $100,000 and I can hose you off from a distance, I'll do it. But I'm not getting up close and personal and getting underneath the undercarriage and scooping that joker out. You know what I mean? I'm just not. I'm not doing that. So later on, he told me he went inside the store to the CRM at the time. She's like customer service manager. Went there and said, and told her that he needed help cleaning up. And so the manager comes to me and goes, I need you to go in the bathroom and wipe and clean this dude up. I'm like, what? Why should I have to do that? And she's like, well, if he doesn't, he's going to sue Walmart. I said, damn Walmart. I'm not, I'm not cleaning this guy up. It's not going to happen. And so, I thought I was going to get fired that day. And I don't know why. I was just a young kid, but I thought for sure that I was going to get fired because I didn't wipe this dude down.
Yeah.
And so I say all that to say, I don't do well with that kind of thing. So I respect you for doing that. So, I guess my next thing for you, I know that was a long-winded story, but next thing would be would healthcare, getting into being a CNA and going to healthcare, is that something you've always wanted to do? Is that something that's always in the back of your mind that, hey, I want to be in something? Did you always think of CNA or MRN like you're trying to get now, or would you say maybe like a nurse or like a doctor or something?
I thought about being a pediatrician at first and then a
Mm-hmm.
nurse. So I've always wanted to be like in the field of like nursing and taking care of people and
Yeah.
everything. But yeah,
Yeah. So a pediatrician somewhere in that field. And so you've always, even when you were a kid, right? And someone said, Kelsey, what do you want to be when you grow up? You said something in healthcare.
oh, I had a nursing kit, like those little ear
The stethoscope?
finders
Is that what it
and
is?
stethoscope.
Yeah.
No, where you look into the ear and
Okay.
other things like that. Because
Hmm.
as a little kid, I had them.
Right.
I
Right.
found it fascinating.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like when we were kids, it was one of those things like, I don't know I'm sure your mom was like this now, knowing her and seeing how she is. But I know growing up, like whenever kids said they were going to the backyard or their bedroom or somewhere to play doctor, that was never a good thing.
No.
But half the time, in some cases though, it wasn't always like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't always like, yes, in a lot of cases, kids were doing some really inappropriate crap doing that. But a lot of work, like it's because it's just a fascinating field, I guess you could say. Like just to see like how many bones are in the human body and like how many teeth a human has and like hair follicles, and it's really interesting stuff. And to be able to
Yep.
use that knowledge to like help somebody is really cool. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Uh,
So even as a kid, you knew you were going to get into the health field in some capacity.
yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. All right. So we'll move on from healthcare. You used to swim in
Yep.
high school, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So when did you start? You start freshman year?
I started my sophomore year.
Oh, okay. That was the same year we started to date.
Yep.
Yep. So you started the swim team in 10th grade. What made you join the swim team? So let me ask you this first. Was there a swim team before you started? Like, so was there a swim team your
Yes.
ninth grade year? Okay, and you just
Yes.
didn't. Okay. So
Because I
what
didn't
made you?
know about it.
Oh, okay. I got you. So they really, yeah, I will say, like, just before you answer my question, when I was we went to Amherst County High School, and I remember being there. They didn't really advertise the swimming a whole lot. Like it was
No.
there, but it was something that you could do, but it wasn't like, hey, come join the swim team. It just wasn't really
Yeah.
any of that. So you had to go looking for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what made you choose swimming? So you had all these sports. You had soccer, well, you can't play football, my bad, but soccer, softball, basketball. Well, you're short, but there's short girls that play basketball too. What made you swim? What made you be on the swim team?
Um, I always loved the water and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Even as a little girl, my mom would stick me in the pool. She had a 4-foot pool and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and on a floaty and everything, and I
Right.
would fall asleep
Right.
in the floaty.
Mm-hmm.
and everything. I've just always loved the water.
Yeah.
So it's like a
Yeah.
second home to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. So you joined the swim team in the 10th grade and you did it all the way through high school, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So, and when you're swimming for competition, like I guess really like what's the best way to prepare for that? So what do you work on mostly? Do you work on your endurance? Do you like your stamina or do you try to focus on speed? What do you focus on?
We work on a little bit of everything. We work on our breathing. We work on speed. We work on like endurance. Like one of my coaches, like she would make us
Hmm.
go out into the middle of the pool and stay there and like paddle for I don't know how long,
Hmm.
but she would make us do that. And we would just like practice turns over and over and over again because you had to get fast on your turns
Yeah.
because it's obviously a swim meet. You're turning in the water
Right.
and everything. So, I mean, outside of the pool, we would like lift weights and run and
Hmm.
other things, especially too, because
Right.
it's good to have arm strength and
Hmm.
good good to run and work on your breathing and stuff like that too.
Right.
But
Okay. I
yeah,
got you. So when when preparing, just like any sport, when preparing for swim meets and things of that nature, of course, you had to watch your diet, correct? To a certain extent, watch your diet. Of course, you need proteins,
yeah.
vegetables too, and enough protein as well because that burns up a lot of your energy, right? So probably before a swim meet, did you have like, well, you're not supposed to eat a lot before swimming, aren't you? That's right. Sorry.
No, no.
Oh, you are.
Actually, the night before swim meet, we would
Okay.
carb up.
Oh, well, the night before, that's different. Right. I
Yeah,
got you. Yeah. See, I was thinking like, if it was like maybe 30, 30 minutes so before the meet, if you were supposed to eat a
yeah,
lot. But yeah, the night before, yeah. See, we did the exact opposite of that in football. When I played football, we actually ate like we would all eat like a whole pizza to ourselves before we went out there. And that was usually
yeah.
not a good thing because you'd be like having some juicy farts
Oh
doing the
goodness.
game. So like I play defensive ends, I'd be like bent over and like defensive end when the ball is hiked, I'm pushing up against the offensive lineman, and when I do that, I'm exerting force, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden I'm just like letting it go. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so I
But
didn't really like that. So
but for like the really big meets and
hmm.
everything that we had the night before, we would all get together and have a dinner
Right,
together,
right,
and we would have like salad
right.
and spaghetti and
Hmm.
bread,
Oh
and
shoot,
that
that
was
was
our meal.
yeah, that sounds pretty good. That sounds yummy.
And even though I carved up on
Right,
those nights and everything,
right.
and I wasn't trying to lose weight, I lost
Hmm.
weight
Yeah,
even when
yeah.
I was working on swimming.
Yeah, yeah, I bet so. I mean, it burns a lot. It burns a lot of calories. It burns a lot of weight. It's one of the best exercises you can do. For me, it's always been MMA and boxing and martial arts and stuff. And that stuff challenges you just in the same amount. I mean, the things we've done down in the basement and things like that in
Yeah,
our workout room. I mean, we get pretty, like, it's going to sound kind of sexual, but we get pretty down and dirty down there. Especially me, I get caked in sweat because this stuff is supposed to push you. It's supposed to make you
yeah,
feel like someone beat the living hell out of you, and that's how you're supposed to feel. Not every workout, of course, but it's good to feel like you did something. So but that's cool. So let me ask you this. Let's say if you were to perform back then when you were swimming often and doing it pretty regular, do you think you could have competed at a collegiate level?
Probably not,
Hmm.
because I was one of the slower people on the team.
Hmm.
Not to be like hard on myself or
Hmm.
anything, but
That's okay.
um, yeah, but I wasn't the slowest on the team, but I
Right.
was one of the slowest.
Yeah. That's okay. Listen, I mean, like, as long as you can do it well, it doesn't really matter how fast you get there. It's like what I've always been told is like whether you run a mile or you walk a mile, you're doing the
Yeah,
same amount of work. You're just getting there faster. Like
yeah,
that's why when we used to walk the track a lot, like I was jogging it and I could jog it well. I mean, I could do a mile, in about 9 minutes. But what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying you should kind of walk really slow. That's not doing anything for you. But if you're keeping a good pace, then
yeah,
getting a good walk in as opposed to running, it's not really a big difference, is what I'm saying. It's about the same. It's about you're burning the same amount of calories. You're just taking a little longer to do it.
mhm,
Now, there's nothing wrong with running either. I think running is good for you. It builds up your endurance, and it's a good workout. So, like, I'm all for trying to get the most out of your workouts, and that's why sometimes I might push you or working out. But I think that, excuse me, I think that sometimes you have to be pushed. Okay, I think that if you're not being pushed, if you're not being challenged, then you're not working out right. Simple as that. Now,
right,
you're going to have days where you're going to work out a little bit, not long, maybe about, like I said, 20 minutes or so. And maybe you won't even work up much of a sweat, but at least you did something. But sometimes, a lot of times, it's going to be like, let's go, let's go. And I might, I know me and you, we just had like a mini argument about it a couple weeks ago. And I think what I was trying to convey to you is, and I understand that maybe I was being a little insensitive, and that's how it is sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't mean
yeah,
that everything I say and everything I do it because I care and I love you. And that's why I do it. But like I would do this for anybody. I do it for my sister. I do it for our future kids. Is that when you're doing something, I want you to give it 110%. I understand you can't always be 100%. I get sometimes things can keep you from being 100%. I understand we all got things that hold us back in life, but it's about how you overcome it and what you do to make yourself better despite of the situation you're in. Okay? And that's what I've always kind of how I felt, how I've tried to look at working out is that as long as you're doing it and you're trying your best and you're trying to get better, then that's all you need to do. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So you don't think that you could compete at a collegiate level? Well, at
mm,
that time, you know what I mean? I know now definitely not because
yeah,
you're not regular anymore. Sure, we might go to the pool, we might go to the beach or something like that. But I
right.
mean, you don't like train in swimming anymore. So like uh back then though, you don't think you can compete on a collegiate level,
No,
right? So I guess my last question about the swimming would be what made you go to swimming? What made you want to be part of a swim team? Like what fascinated you about that? Obviously, you kept coming back for more over the years. What kept you for 3 years?
I love the water. I love just being in it and
Take a
everything.
bath.
Pretty much. Pretty much. I I just I feel like I should be floating and like it's crazy to me.
Yeah, but in swimming, you're not floating, you're swimming,
Yeah,
right?
but
It's not like
yeah,
you're relaxing at a pool on a nice summer day. You're
right.
actually having to exert energy.
Yeah, I was, but it was in a good way and
Hmm.
everything. I didn't like really sweating or anything sort of like that and
Yeah,
everything. I know that you can sweat in the pool even though you have water surrounding you, so you're
yeah.
not going to be able to see it and everything. But yeah, it's just really cool to me to have the
Hmm.
pool.
Right. I got you. I got you.
And because
So,
and
oh, go ahead.
because I learned how to swim at a young age and everything, I think that it kind of came naturally to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you like so when you did the swim team, did you like the fact of being part of a team or did you like the part of overcoming yourself? Because when you're doing laps like that or when you're in a sport like swimming, like I can say the same thing with like boxing and MMA, right? Like
Mhm.
I've always heard your biggest opponent is the guy standing in your reflection in sports like that.
That's
So it doesn't
true.
matter who's standing across from you. The only battle is within yourself, right? Yes, this guy's coming to
Yeah.
take my head off, but I have to worry about me. Like you can beat yourself at any sport without
Mhm.
somebody hitting you or touching you or whatever. So
Yeah.
for swimming, is that something that you liked about the sport was the fact of it was more of a battle within yourself? Yes, you're on a team, but you were overcoming obstacles in your own way, right? You said you were one of the slower swimmers. So
Yeah.
was swimming like did it help you overcome a lot of obstacles, I guess, within the sport because and with you and yourself, I guess would be the question.
Yeah. It did. Cause we obviously we had like single meets and everything. Like we would swim by ourselves and
Hmm.
everything against other people, but we were swimming by ourselves. We were just trying to beat our time and
Hmm.
everything, trying to beat them and everything. But then we would get into where we would kind of be in a group meet too. And that was fun also.
Hmm.
So I like kind of both
Right.
parts,
Yeah.
but
So you
yeah,
like working as a team, but you also like overcoming your own personal
yeah,
struggles and obstacles and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why like I've noticed like just like going downstairs with you and hitting the bag and doing things like that, I can tell that you're getting better. I know I seems like I'm getting after you a lot, but it's just because of I've just like you've been swimming your whole life and stuff like that. I've been doing this stuff my whole life. So I know things that I know you probably wouldn't think of, like keep your hands up and things like that. But I can tell that you gotten better. And I think that has a lot to do with you being in a sport where you had to overcome things on your own and you couldn't rely on a team. Like that's one thing. Like I
yeah,
love football. I love football, but football is a team sport. Like we talk about all the time. Like you got Tom Brady coming back to the Buccaneers, right? Now, Tom
mhm,
Brady coming back automatically makes that team a Super Bowl winning team. And I'm not trying to make this a sport podcast. I'm just saying. But like football is a team sport. At the end of the day, Tom Brady can't play defense, right? He can't
right,
do that. Tom Brady throws the football. He can't play defense. So if you don't have a good defense, you're still going to lose games. Defense can win you championships. So if you don't have a team, if in those sports like basketball, right, you had Michael Jordan, greatest player of all time, but without Scottie Pippen, without Steve Kerr,
right,
without these other guys that helped him along the way, would he have gotten 6 championships? I don't know. Even MJ himself, I was telling you that documentary about him that I really like. It's called The Last Dance. He talks about it. He said, look, if there was no Scottie Pippen, there'd be no championships. He said that.
right,
He came out and said that. He said, if I didn't have Scottie Pippen, which was pretty much his shooting guard, it was a right hand man when it came to the team. If I didn't have him, I would never won. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so it's not so with MMA and boxing and martial arts, and then with swimming, it's more of a mano y mano. It's a war within oneself as opposed to a war with other people. With a
right,
war against another team. So that's why I've really come to appreciate. I've come to appreciate swimming. I've come and of course I've appreciated martial arts and MMA and boxing because I like that. Like you don't realize how much you can overcome as a person when you're on your own.
mhm,
Independency, right? When you're independent, you're on your own. It's okay to, like, for instance, you're married to me, but you're an independent woman. You don't need me to live. Now we say
right,
that to each other, and I mean that. I do need you to live in my life. I need you, but like I did live by myself before you. I have proven that I can be independent. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Just like you've proven you can be independent. We choose to be together. And because we're independent people, we work better together. because we know that we can live, that we have lived without each other. And now that we're together, we don't want to live without each other. And I think
Right.
that's something you learn when you when you become married and when you become closer with somebody. And it's not just like a throwaway relationship, is that you can't live without the person, but you also are still independent people. Like, for instance, if you got to work all day, I can feed myself. I don't have to work. I don't have to wait for you to get home. Now, I know we're dieting, so I'm not really eating much, but I can make my own food. Even if it's just chicken nuggets in the air fryer, I can do that. You know what I mean? I've had people growing up in my family that's like they were so dependent on someone else. It's like when they didn't have another person around, they would probably starve, and that's the truth to it. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's interesting. So swimming, you said you were a slower swimmer, but it's just something that it came natural to you.
Yeah.
You like to, what was other things you liked in earlier on, and even things maybe you like now? I know one thing you mentioned was you used to draw, right? You used to
Yeah.
draw a little bit.
I used to draw and everything. I used to draw kind of a lot and everything,
Mm-hmm.
really. And in middle school, I took art and everything. So that was really,
And you were in Amherst Middle, correct?
yeah.
Who was the art teacher? What was her name? Do you remember? Was
I
she a
can't.
short was she a short lady with glasses?
She was a short, white-haired. Yeah,
I can't remember what her name
she
is.
had glasses. I can't
Yeah, I
remember
remember.
her
I
name.
remember. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Um, I can't remember her name.
I can't remember her name either. I don't know if she. I'm thinking she's still with us. I'm not
But
sure.
but that's where I learned a lot about like Van Gogh and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. When was Van Gogh born?
that I don't know.
Yeah. So you don't know crap. So how about in high school? Did you take art in there?
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
But did you draw on the side, or was it just something you did in middle school?
Uh, I think I kind of drew on the side in
Hmm.
high school too
Hmm.
for a little bit,
Right.
but yeah, I changed.
Right. Right. You changed.
Yeah,
So I mean, but like you said, you didn't swim ninth grade year. So what did you do? Did you just go to school and come on home?
I did chorus throughout high school,
Okay.
throughout it, all 4 years
Hmm.
of high school and
Right.
everything. So I was constantly like practicing, and
Yeah.
I would show up to the um like after school.
Hmm.
Um, they would have like a show and stuff like that
Hmm.
too. So I
Okay.
did that, and my ninth grade year, I think I was finding myself,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you.
So
You're trying to figure out what really your interests are, because you're still a kid, but you're old enough that a lot of things are changing for you.
yeah,
We won't go down that conversation, but a lot of things are going for you. There's boys in the picture, and then you got, you know, you try to find yourself in high school. I mean, everybody goes through that. I mean, I wasn't a very popular kid. I didn't get more well known until way later on. Like I've say by my junior year. So, and even then I didn't know who I was. So,
yeah,
okay, I got you. So, um, I guess really what I'll say is, if you want to tell the people now, people that are watching now or watching later, no comments on my end. I don't know if you can see them on yours, but there's no comments on my end. So we don't have any questions or anything to answer, because this is the premiere. Okay, so it's not going to be the most popping thing. I think a lot of our viewers, if you're watching this right now, you're probably watching it after we've already ended the broadcast. So let us know how you like the podcast. Do you like the format? If you like the format, I will continue to keep using this software, because I think actually it just popped up on me before I start the broadcast that if I want to keep using it, I have to pay for it. So if you like it, then I think I can fork over the $20 a month or whatever it is. It sucks. I got to pay it. But if it's something that everybody likes what we're doing and I have enough people lined up for it, I'll keep doing it because it's that beneficial to me. I mean, look, this has been a good time. This is stuff that, and a lot of the stuff that Kelsey has talked about, I've already known. I just wanted to, and this is how a lot of my podcasts would like to be. I would like to have them where I'm asking you questions and kind of reflect them back to the things I went through and things like that. So this has been good. I'm hoping that you guys have been watching this and found this really beneficial and really liked the conversation because this is great. I mean, it's a good stuff. When you agree?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
agree.
it feels good to talk about it and to kind of compare lifestyles because everybody, even though we had different childhoods and different lifestyles, I mean, you kind of know a lot of the stuff I've been through. We did still have a lot of the same things happen around that time, so it's really interesting that all these years later, being in our mid-20s, we can still kind of conversate about some of the same things that we remember. That's why when you mentioned you were taking art in middle school at Amherst Middle, I couldn't remember the lady's name, but she was really, really nice, real sweet. And actually, I don't know if you knew this or not.
Yeah.
She might have told you in her class, but I remember the one thing she told us in class was the fact that she taught a kid who had grown up and is one of the illustrators for SpongeBob. But I don't know what his name is. Did she ever tell you that?
I don't think so.
She told us that like within the first week of me having her like orientation week, and she said that one of the people that she taught became an illustrator for SpongeBob, and I thought that was so
Oh,
cool
cool.
because at the time, I mean, like SpongeBob is still big now, but it's not big like it was when we were kids. When we were kids, I mean, that was the Nickelodeon cartoon show to watch, and so I thought that was really cool that she actually, and she was a brilliant artist, like she really was, like
Yeah.
she when she would draw things up on the board, even if it's like a small little sketch, I mean, she did a million times better than I ever could if I took my time
Yeah.
and had a sheet of paper. So I mean, she was yeah. So it's really cool that like even though we had different childhoods, all of us still have had a lot of the same experiences. And so that's one thing I want to do with this cast is I like to talk about ask you things that I might already know because it's super awesome because then we can come back and be like, oh man, I went through that too. Oh man, I had that teacher too, or we did this or we did that. And it's just really cool. I think it's a good place to to have that sort of thing and to build that chemistry with other people. And so starting off the podcast with my wife is really cool because we're already diving into the stuff that I already want to talk about. That yes, like what I was telling my wife before, just to give her a little bit of time where she doesn't have to answer any more questions. And we're getting to like the last 12 minutes anyway, so I'll tie it up with this. But what we were talking about, I was telling her, when my guest had dropped out for the night, and I said, look, I thought about canceling the podcast, and I really did, but I was like, look, I've been looking forward to this since last week. I've been talking about it, I've been promoting it. I made my own. Well, I didn't make my own logo. I can't take completely copy. That'd be like a copyright strike or something on me. I didn't create that logo. I found it, but I really like the logo, and I might change it eventually for the Deadhead podcast. But I worked hard. I put the page together. I've been sharing posts like crazy. I've been getting the software, trying to find the right software on my computer that doesn't give it viruses. I found this one. This one seems stable because there's a podcast that I watch that uses StreamYard and it for all their podcasts, and it works well. So I've been working hard with that. I've been working hard promoting it. And this isn't like hard work. I'm not sitting there saying I'm pulling my back out trying to get this thing going. But when you're doing something like this, it's new, it's different. It's honestly, it's nerve wracking because it's something so new that I almost didn't know if I wanted to do it. Because you got to think like me and her, we both work 40-hour weeks. She sometimes works longer hours than me. So like we already just want to get on the couch and watch TV or play some video
Yeah.
games and do nothing, eat popcorn and do jack shit. But I know I wanted to do something like this to bring people together. I want to bring more people together and not dwell on stupid shit. I mean, that's like one thing I did not want to do was talk about the Will Smith stuff. I did not want to talk about that on this podcast. Like I didn't. I bring it up now because I'm just saying, like, that's one thing I did not want to talk about. I don't want to talk about that because it's so polarizing to everybody. No one can have an opinion on the matter without people fighting. And that's just not what I want my podcast to be. Hence why there's no politics, right? I think most people know where I fall, what I believe. There's some things I've softened on quite a bit about, but this isn't the place for that. I'm not talking about anything that could be polarizing or to bring any kind of ill will towards other people. I want this podcast to be open where we can have discussions and compare how we feel about it. Also, this is not just a gaming podcast. It's not a gaming podcast or just a movie podcast or TV or anything like that. This is a life podcast. Sure, is gaming one of the taglines? Definitely, dude. I mean, definitely. We will be talking about gaming. My wife, she doesn't game often. She doesn't game really at all. I think we played WWE 2K22 for like all of 10 minutes. And we lost like 3 matches in a row. We won the last one. And my wife is like, okay, I'm done. I'll watch you play. And that's fine. You know what I mean? I've never been one of those where I gotta have somebody playing with me all the time. You know what I mean? Like I lived by myself for like 4 or 5 years. I did that shit by myself. So what were you gonna
Other
say?
than that, I've watched you play
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. She's watched me play, a lot. And that's more than fine. Honestly, I like having an audience when I do things like that. So that's fun. So she doesn't have to play. And it's okay that you don't know much about gaming. That's no problem, and that's why I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of indigestion. That's why when I wanted you to come on the podcast, I was trying to assure you that you don't need to know anything about gaming. You don't need to know, we don't need to talk about recent things that have come out, things like that. Really, and just for anybody else watching this who has made it to this part of the podcast, and we're going to tie it up here in about 5 minutes or so. But this is a podcast where we can talk freely about anything. And if we can talk about gaming, cool. If we can talk about movies and TV shows we're watching, awesome. But if not, we just talk about life, kind of what we did today. And I just want to learn more about what makes you you. If I bring you on my show, I'm interested in you. You know what I mean? If I wasn't interested in you, I just make videos by myself, which I've done for years. I've done that for years where I made my own videos, like rant videos and reviews, and I had a YouTube channel and all that stuff like that. But if I wanted to do that, then I would just keep making my own videos. And does that make sense, babe?
Yeah.
I'm more talking to the audience, but I just make sure I don't sound like an ass on camera. I mean, that's just, if I wanted to do that, I would have just kept making videos by myself. And I've done that for years. You can look on my Facebook page. You go down to my videos and it's just line after line because that's what I did. And I enjoyed it. And I enjoy having my voice heard and I enjoy speaking. And I don't like to hear myself talk. Like I work for people who like to hear themselves talk. I don't like to hear myself talk, but I like to be able to conversate about anything. So if I can have conversations, then that's what this podcast is going to be about. I've had a good time doing this. I mean, I talk to my wife every day, and this has been a highlight conversation because I enjoy getting to know my wife more and more every day and having this conversation. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you can, put a bunch of likes on this video, comment, let me know that you enjoyed it. And hopefully, if not next week, then the week after, I'll be back with another one. Let me just ask you this, Kelsey, would you be interested in coming back sometime in the future?
Yeah.
So if I asked you to come back in, let's say, a month or month and a half from now, you would come back?
Yeah.
Maybe not that long, but if it does take that long, you would be like, yeah.
Yeah. I'd come back anytime you needed me.
Right. Well, needed you. I want you to want to come on, if it's, like there's podcasts of actually, there's actually a show that I would like to do with you and a friend of yours, a friend who may or may not have taken our pictures at the wedding. And I think that would be a cool, kind of just talk to her. We have to do a 3-way chat and, we kind of do the same thing that I did to you today. We just talk about different things and, maybe we can get her on too. I don't know if she's going to watch this. I think she knows. I think, know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
If you're watching this and you know that we're talking about you, feel free to comment and we'll have you in on one of the chats coming up. Just let me know when it's a good time to do it, and we'll do it. So this podcast is going to be way more than just gaming, and it's not a Walking Dead channel. Let me just put that out there. I am a Deadhead fan for life, but this is not a Walking Dead channel. Walking Dead will not be brought up unless we specifically talk about it, and we may talk about it as the end of the show is coming, but it's not going to be like a whole podcast full of Walking Dead. So,
Right.
All right. Anyway, with that being said, honey, is there any closing words you'd like to say to the people? Maybe, if you want to talk about what you got going on in your life now, what you got going on, what you're trying to do. Is there just some closing thoughts you'd like to say to the people before we shut it on down?
I want to say that I am going to become an MRN and
Okay.
everything. So I will, it's just under like what a nurse is, an LPN.
Uh-huh.
So it's cool. I'll be able to pass meds and everything. So
Right.
yeah.
More responsibility, higher pay.
Yep.
More benefits.
Yep.
Your hours are already pretty good, so
yeah, my hours will stay the same. Pretty much.
Right. Is there any more incentives, or is that pretty much it? I mean, that sounds like a good deal, but is there anything else going on with so if you get your license, anything else happen?
I can't think of anything else.
Well, that sounds good enough. I mean, like I said, you get higher pay, your hours are already good. You have more. Oh, are you gonna say? Go ahead.
My job will change. Like I'll be passing meds rather than just helping people and everything with their everyday activities. But I'll still be able to help people.
Yeah.
Just in kind of a different way.
Right. I got you. Yeah, I mean that's what's most important. That, and if you're making pretty good pay, then that's the main thing. So
yeah.
But all right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and have some closing thoughts. We'll get on out here. I appreciate you, babe, for coming in on short notice. It means a lot to me that we could have the premiere of the Deadhead podcast today, March 30th, 2022. I'm saying that as more of like a video log for the future. Because I'm planning to, I will say this, I will have the video on my Deadhead podcast fan page. I will probably share it again when this is over to make sure it reaches out to whoever needs to reach to. It will also be on my YouTube channel. If you go to Deadhead Entertainment on YouTube, it has the same logo. You click on it. The video should be there also. I'm going to try to save it and put it on YouTube tonight, probably right after we're done with this podcast, with the show here. I keep saying podcast and show interchangeably. This is a podcast, but this is a show. Okay. So as soon as the show is over, I'll upload it to YouTube, and that way you can go on YouTube or you can go to the fan page, either one. If you go to my YouTube, subscribe to Deadhead Entertainment. If you go to Deadhead Podcast, give me a follow and like this video, and just let me know what your thoughts on the conversation today. What else would you like to know? And if we made another video together, if I brought the wife on, what question do you have for her, and what would you like to talk about? And so with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Stay dead, my friends. Bye.